Welcome to Cheating Story Tales. Before we dive into today's story, we have a humble request. Please consider subscribing to this new channel. Help us hit our first milestone of 1,000 subscribers. Your support will motivate us to keep bringing you more exclusive original cheating wife stories. And now, let's get started with today's story. Time for the out-of-this-world story from Cheating Story Tells. How can you rebuild the trust, knowing that the person who hurt you is someone who was supposed to be closest to you? Today on Cheating Story Tells, debating about going back to that one person. It's like thinking you could duct tape your heart back together after someone set it on fire. Move on up. Burst OP learns that his cheating ex has been playing games all along. Girlfriend cheated and now wants forgiveness and a clean slate. I, 29 male, met my girlfriend, Kim, 24 female, in July of 2021. She was working in an upscale restaurant that I ate at frequently. I tried to ask her out several times before she actually said yes. After 3 months, she asked if we could be exclusive, and by March 2022, we moved in together. Before she moved in, I took her to meet my mother. Kim was very anxious, but not as much as I was, as my mother can be very intimidating and overpowering. But Kim charmed my mother and won her over. My mother said, in large part, it was how she treated and looked at me. After we had been living together for a while, my mother quizzed us about our plans, specifically about our goals. Kim was a sophomore in 2020, and COVID caused her to drop out and lose her scholarship. She really wanted to get her degree to have a chance at a real career, but it was always out of her reach financially. Later that day, my mother reached out to us and offered to pay for Kim's tuition. So Kim started back in the fall of 2023 at my alma mater, just a 35-minute drive from my house. I got to visit my old stomping grounds and show Kim around the campus. The first semester was great. The second semester saw red flags start to emerge. Kim was no longer comfortable with me hanging around some of her friends. She said me being 6 to 7 years older than her friends made them feel uncomfortable. She also had a study group that met on Wednesday night and an early class on Thursday morning, so she started spending Wednesday night with one of her girlfriends so she could get more sleep before class. She wanted to go to Cancun for spring break until I offered to book our tickets. She wanted to go alone with her girlfriends. Some of her girlfriends got invited to a frat party at my old frat house. I insisted on going with her, knowing what those parties were like, and we fought until I foolishly caved. When she got home from the frat party, it was late, and she went straight to bed. Early the next morning, she got into the shower, and I slipped in there with her before she realized it. It was not an unusual occurrence. Then I saw the bruises on the hips and butt, which she said were from playing volleyball drunk. I know better. I have left bruises like that on her. But the one she tried her best to hide was a bite mark and a hickey on her breast. I wouldn't listen to her lies and said she needed to leave. After she was gone, I reached out to one of my frat brothers. I knew his little brother was living in that frat house and was surely there at the party. I talked to his little brother and explained my situation and described my girlfriend and the purple flower tattoo on her hip. He was very forthcoming and sent me a couple of pictures and a short video. He was adamant she hadn't been slipped anything and wasn't that drunk. She came over to talk the next day and get her stuff. She tried to tell me it wasn't as bad as I thought, and nothing really bad happened, that she wanted to put it past us and move on. The color left her face when I asked her if she had ever seen a BJ contest, where a group of girls raced to get their guy over the finish line first, and then I played the video for her. I said, one of my first lessons as a pledge was, there are 2 types of co-eds, the ones you date and the ones that come to frat parties, and I guess we know which one you are. I said, until all those marks fade, I don't want to talk to you or even be around you. The fact I may still have feelings for you just disgusts me. I made her give me back the keys to my house and my credit card that she uses for gas, books, and other expenses. She does have a debit card on her account that I put money into, so she has cash to spend. She has love-bombed me for days, promising to change, No overnights on campus, no more parties or activities without me there, and coming home right after classes. She said she was stupid for listening to other people and letting them talk her into disrespecting me. Only a couple of my friends know what happened, but I haven't talked to many people about it out of shame. I'm angry at myself for actually entertaining the thought of giving her another chance. Quick update. Finally got to talk to my mother. Without divulging the dirty details, I told her I had proof that Kim had been cheating on me and that I had broken up with her. She was livid and said, "We will deal with that when I get home." She asked if I was okay and told me to contact her lawyer if I needed anything. I told her where I had left things with Kim, and she offered again to cut her trip short and fly back home. I told her there was no need to come back and that I had things handled. Then I got a call from my older sister. She was in her car and headed to my house. We talked on the phone for almost the entire 2-hour drive to my house. When she got to my house, she made me gather and box up the rest of Kim's things and call her to come and get them. Kim was not happy to see my sister there, as I think she thought I would be alone, and she could soften me up and plead her case. I told her she had until the 1st of the month to figure out car and health insurance, and that I didn't want any contact with her again after today. Kim begged for a cooling-off period and some counseling before we threw the last 3 years away. In school, my sister was a mean girl bully, but I never heard her utter some of the words she used to verbally lash out at Kim. At one point, I almost felt sorry for Kim for all the abuse she was taking. Almost. We finally got the last of Kim's stuff in her car. My sister is staying with me for a few days in case Kim comes over and falsely accuses me of something. Clarifications. 1. Kim didn't get to go on spring break with her friends because I refused to buy her tickets. 2. Kim also didn't know beforehand that the frat house party was at the same one I belonged to in college. 3. I'm cutting her phone off on Monday and tying up the number so it can't be ported. Let's get a quick reaction from the community, shall we? You'd be an idiot to go back to her. Put her in your past and don't look back. My guess is she has done a lot more with her friends than what happened at the frat party. Let her friends support her through school, or she can go back to waitressing in the college town to support her schooling. Don't make her future your problem. She has shown that she is trash. OP replies, I ignored the red flags before, but I realized this wasn't her first rodeo. Waitressing won't pay for college, and her so-called friends are living off their parents, so she is screwed. I don't think she could afford to finish this semester. With tuition already having been paid, she has to come up with money for food and lodging first. Community reaction. Well, the red flags were definitely there, OP. Her wanting to exclude you from her college life, spending nights away, and then the Cancun trip. The frat party incident and everything that came to light after just confirmed what you already suspected. Now it sounds like she's trying to regain her control of you rather than truly taking accountability for her actions. Don't ignore the red flags again. You know she's not going to change. Do they ever? Up next, OP has to decide whether he can ever look at his ex or his friend the same way again. Am I the a-hole for waiting 6 months to divorce? Throwaway account. I've been lurking here for a while, but finally decided to share my story. I, 34 male, recently went through something that's left me questioning everything, and I really need some outside perspectives. 6 months ago, my wife, 32 female, and I had a huge argument. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, just the usual stress from work and life piling up. That night I tried calling her multiple times, but she never picked up. I ended up falling asleep on the couch, worried sick, imagining all sorts of things. The next morning, she came home with tears streaming down her face. She sat me down and confessed she had slept with my best friend. She didn't spare any details. When I asked her questions, her honesty was brutal. She told me he was better, that she felt touched and like a woman again. I had read that people would trickle truth, but she just spilled it all out. She said she regretted it, not because it wasn't good, but because it wasn't with me, and she hated who she became in that moment. I was so devastated and just immediately asked for a divorce. She broke down, begging me not to end things, swearing to do whatever it took to make things right. In my shock and confusion, I gave in to her seduction. To this day, I can't believe I did that. Right when she came back from him, from that point on, she did everything I asked and more. She put a GPS in her car, downloaded Life 360, carried a voice recorder in her purse, and video called me every hour of the day. She gave me full access to her phone. Every time my ex-best friend or any guy tried to reach out, she blocked them without hesitation after she screenshotted and sent me who it was. She was doing everything right. In couples counseling, she would correct the counselor if they shifted any blame onto me, making it clear it was all her fault. I later found out she cheated on her husband as well. She promised never to let temptation overcome her again. She kept telling me I was better in bed now, even better than my ex-best friend. But instead of making me feel good, it made me feel awful. I hated myself, so I started working out, getting in shape. It only made her want more sex. I tried to enjoy it, thinking it would make things better. We tried to move forward. She showered me with affection, cooked my favorite meals, planned surprise dates, and left me little love notes around the house. Our friends and family thought we were the perfect couple, that we had overcome the worst and were stronger for it. Her parents and my parents begged me to stay, saying it was just a one-time drunk mistake. But I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Every time she kissed me, I wondered if she was thinking about him. Every time we made love, I questioned if she was comparing us. It's been 6 months. Last night she asked if she could go to a party with her friends. She had been so good, video calling me every 30 minutes to show she was with her friends. But in my head, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was still cheating, even though there was no evidence. The final time, as she was video calling to show she was getting into the car, I asked her for a divorce. She rushed home, asking why. I told her I was grateful for her progress, but felt she wasn't truly sorry. She just didn't want to lose me. I don't know if that's the truth, but it's what I believe. So here I am, feeling like a monster for wanting to end it after she's worked so hard to fix things. She's been nothing but devoted and sincere in her efforts to make amends, yet I can't get over the image of her with my best friend. The pain of her betrayal. Every time I close my eyes, I see them together, and it tears me apart. All I think about is him and her. We were supposed to be only with each other, and she ruined that. I never processed it and just caved in, not even 24 hours later. The only thing I feel wrong about is waiting 6 months to come to this conclusion. I feel so lost and conflicted. I don't know if I'm punishing her or trying to save myself. Maybe this will all blow over and I'll just settle down. But I saw him the other day and it just screwed me. I hate my life. How does the community react? Let's find out. This is the exact reason people generally advise not to take back a cheater. You need a short memory for it to work. I must say, the fact that it was your best friend is particularly vindictive. How did that come about? Did she pick a person who would hurt you the most? What was the fallout with your friend group, etc.? All in all, it sounds like she did all the right things post-cheating. Obviously, the problem is, it isn't enough, is it? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube and all that. Ultimately, you have 2 options: move on or look into therapy to see if you can ever accept what she did. I wouldn't pick the former, but given how regretful and hard-working she's been, see what works best for you. Maybe if it was a one-night stand with a stranger with therapy, I could accept it. But ultimately, my principles wouldn't let me. A best friend would be a killer. Your best friend is supposed to be someone who has your back, not someone who actively goes behind your back and destroys something so fundamental. The real question is, why would you want to go back to someone who did that, especially with someone you trusted so much? It's not just about the affair. It's about the fact that both your wife and your best friend have shown that your feelings, your trust, and your relationship didn't matter to them in that moment, Have you experienced something similar? What did you do? Share your stories with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on Cheating Storytells. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on your next video. See you next time.